I was so happy when Jade got announced for Mortal Kombat 11. She was never playable in the previous game, and that sucked because I loved her combos in MK9. I didn't care that she was low tier. I was just so excited to see my lightsaber wielding assassin return. Little did I know she'd become the most hated zoner in the game, or at least at first. Today, let's talk about why everyone hates fighting Jade. Alright, so first off, I have to talk about the uppercut because if I don't, people are gonna crucify me in the comments section. This uppercut was the bane of so many players' existence for months on end. And the reason why should be obvious. The hitbox on this thing is absolutely massive. It hits really far in front of her, it hits above her, and in fact, it even hits behind her. Yeah, this thing has a crazy hitbox. And if you don't believe me, check it out. Bonk. Yeah, she was way behind me, and the uppercut still connected. The hitbox on this thing is insane. In fact, it can even hit people at the top of their jump. That was the highest her jump could actually be, and I still knocked her out of the sky. You cannot avoid this thing unless your character has some weird double jump or something. So that's reason number one. This attack has crazy range. But number two, look at the speed. 9 frames on startup. That is the average speed of every character's uppercut in this game. Or in other words, Jade's uppercut is just as fast as everybody else's, but has 3 times the range. The only character in the game with a faster uppercut than Jade is RoboCop, and it took him 2 years to come out. There is no character in the game with an uppercut this good. Even Sindel, who has arguably just as good of range, has a much slower uppercut to compensate because NetherRealm realized, hey, if the attack has better range, maybe we should slow it down so it's a bit more fair and balanced. For the first few months, Jade players were infamous for mashing down 2 in this game, and the reason why is they were begging for a throw. They were begging for a random high attack, literally any gap in your offense to catch you with this, because guess why? Then they get the crushing blow and some really easy damage. That is why for months on end, every Jade player was mashing down 2, because guess what? Even if you block it, look at the pushback and it's -9, 100% safe. So even if you block this thing, she's still fine. The only way to beat this uppercut was to bait it and then duck under it and punish immediately. But be careful, do that one too many times and they're gonna start doing this. Alright, we're finally done with the uppercut. Moving on, because next up we have something equally as annoying, if not more annoying depending on who you ask, and that is the air Razorang. This thing was an absolute nightmare. Look at the angle on this thing. It easily covers 3/4 of the screen. And because Jade's in the air while doing it, guess what? She can avoid most projectiles in the game. She can jump up, throw her own projectile, and then dodge yours in the process. Or in other words, Jade can be a counter zoner if she wants to, which is very, very frustrating for the opponent. And if you check the frame data, you'll see this move is +7 on hit, which means Jade gets to land safely every single time if it lands. But then we have the absolute craziest part about this move. If you spend a meter on it, look at the frame data, +9 on hit. Yes, not only safe, it is plus. If Jade throws this and makes you block it, she is at advantage. And keep in mind, if she's further away, she's only more plus on block. Look at that, +18. And guess what? Would you believe me if the second hit goes full screen? Because it does, and now I'm +36 on block. How insane is that? If I make you block that Razorang from full screen, I can pretty much do this, and I think you have to deal with it, which is absolutely crazy. This meter burn is why Razorang was so hated. Also keep in mind, you can do it instantly off the ground if you have the skill for it, and then you're +19, which is absolutely insane. Now thankfully this game does have a flawless block mechanic, right? So maybe with perfect timing you can take away the frame advantage and even punish her. Nope, there is no option to flawless block the second Razorang. As long as Jade has meter and can force you to block the first hit, she's guaranteed plus every single time. There is nothing you can do about it. Hopefully by now you understand why this move is so hated, and by the way, on hit it's +15, so done up close, that just guarantees more pressure from Jade and you just have to deal with it. So on hit, she wins. On block, she wins. This move was a nightmare. And you know what? Real quick, I have to talk about this string because if I don't, the casuals are going to gut me in the comments because this crushing blow landed all the time and its requirement was kind of weird. You had to intentionally miss the first hit and then land with the second hit. As long as you pulled that off, you would launch the opponent for a full combo, theoretically. Yes, they have breakaway, but don't forget about Blazing Nitro Kick. Now you likely noticed this second hit is a low attack, so just block crouching, right? Well, don't forget about this overhead. It lands at pretty much the exact same range and has a very similar startup time. Or in other words, the Jade player would just constantly scare you with this overhead, so you are blocking all the time out of sheer paranoia, and then bam, the low cometh and they hit you for a full combo. That was the game plan. And honestly, the range is also just really good. It was an awesome whiff punish. Sometimes the opponent would go for a move and then just get caught by the second hit because it has such good range. In fact, it was not uncommon for Jade players to start the round with this string because you whiff the first hit and the second comes out pretty darn fast and you're just not expecting it sometimes. And guess what? Even if you did block it, look at this. It's -6, so 100% safe, no risk, and a pretty decent reward, so why not just do it, right? YOLO. Just like the uppercut, Jade players would mash this string all the time and just pray for a crushing blow, and if they guessed wrong, it's not a very big deal. And next up, we have this move, dodging shadows. Do you recall earlier how I said that Jade could be a counter zoner? Yeah, that's absolutely true, and this attack was also very, very hated. And that's because this move makes Jade immune to your projectiles. Yeah, pretty much completely immune. In fact, she can even dodge some moves that aren't projectiles at all, but she can still walk right through them. And in case you're wondering, Jade still has access to every single attack while in this state. It does not give her any kind of handicap. There's no catch to doing this move. It's a win-win. You might as well activate it all the time. For the first few months this game was out, it was not uncommon for Jade players to knock you away, activate dodging shadows, and then just start throwing stuff at you. That was the name of the game. That was their strategy 99% of the time. And it didn't matter how they knocked you away. It could have been like this, but still, same thing. Activate dodging shadows and just start throwing stuff. Just keep pestering you with projectiles until it wears off, then pop it again. I mean, why not, right? This move does not cost any meter, so just keep doing it over and over again until the cows come home. There's no downside. However, there is some good news. This attack, for whatever reason, does lose to some projectiles in this game, and I never could figure out why. I guess it's just coded differently, but some moves in this game that are projectiles can still hit Jade for no reason at all. Or in other words, there are some characters who can make Jade work a bit more for that W, but keep in mind she still has this, so even if you throw projectiles that can hit her, she can still usually jump out of the way and pest you with this move and then be plus every single time. Alright, then next up we have Edenian Spark. Once again, another keep away tool in Jade's arsenal, but this one was annoying for a different reason. Because if you look closely, you will notice that it hits low, which means you can't dash cancel constantly to move forward at a faster rate. Nope, you have to walk forward and block. This thing will catch you otherwise. Or I suppose you could jump, but I don't recommend it because Jade has an amazing uppercut and also an anti-air projectile, so jumping was pretty much out of the question. The only way to approach Jade against this move was to walk forward and just block low over and over. But guess what? Even if you did get close to Jade, I have some bad news for you. She has overheads. Look at this string. Hits overhead twice, and if you block wrong, it launches you for a full combo. And of course you don't want that to happen, so you're gonna start blocking high. Well, guess what? Overhead low. Yeah, it's a 50-50. She has an overhead or an overhead low. And yes, you can react to both, but keep in mind, lag is very real in this game, and the laggier the match, the tougher it was to block. And because the overhead is only a few frames slower than the low, it was really hard to fuzzy, so you had to block this thing by looking at it. You could not block it by timing alone. And did I mention Edenian Sparks knocks you away? Yeah, pretty far back. Look at that. You're almost half screen away, which means I can do this, I can do this, I can do this some more, all that annoying stuff. If one Edenian Spark hits you, I can just do a second one as you're getting up. It's pretty much guaranteed. Now, thankfully, the good news is both the overhead and the low option are fully punishable on block, so if you did react correctly or simply guess correctly, Jade would get opened up for a full combo, so at least that much was nice. However, even so, make no mistake, this mix-up was absolutely infuriating for players, at least for the first few months. They'll get caught by overhead low, overhead, launch for a full combo, overhead low, all that annoying stuff. And real quick, I wanted to cover the upward Razorang. It's nothing special, but it is powerful in its own right because it is a pretty good anti-air, and believe it or not, it comes back down for like no reason. It covers the entire screen. So even though Jade's uppercut was absolutely amazing, if the opponent was anywhere outside of that range, then the Razorang was a pretty good option. In fact, if you meter burn this move, you get a guaranteed follow-up, even from really far away. And then if you land it closer, you get a really cool follow-up. Boing, look at that. Not too much damage, right? But it's kind of crazy how a YOLO anti-air can give you a full combo up close. Once again, this move is nothing crazy. In fact, I would argue it's one of the more fair attacks that Jade has, but that weird angle from full screen is something. I'll say at least that much. That is really confusing to watch with your eyeballs. But yeah, overall, this move is nothing crazy, but when combined with everything else, that's when it starts to get annoying. Jade has so many moves to counter zone and play keep away, so this move is just one more gun in the armory. Now, honestly, there's so many more attacks I could talk about that make Jade really annoying. She has a parry, for example. She has a flying kick that's plus on block but looks identical to her blazing nitro kick, and you can't tell them apart. One's plus, one's punishable. She even has a teleport that switches sides, hits low, and is safe on block. But you know what? I want to talk about this move instead. Delia's Dance. To an average player, this might not seem like a very good attack. It just hits low, yeah, does a tiny bit of damage. You can meter burn, get a bit more damage, and knock the opponent down, no big deal. But oh my god, at the competitive level, this is by far one of Jade's best attacks attacks in the entire game. Do you recall how earlier I talked about Jade's 50-50? She has the overhead and the low mix-up. Well, she still has that in this build as well. However, unlike a Denny and Spark, this move can be meter burned, and if it is, check this out. Look at that pushback, and it's safe on block at -7. Or in other words, even if you guess correctly, it doesn't matter, I'm still 100% safe. And because the meter burn happens so late, I can wait to see if you block it and then choose to spin the bar. But if this move lands, I'm not spinning bar because guess what? I'm +8 and you're right in my face, which means you're forced to block this mid. You have to. And then once you do start blocking like a good little boy, I can sneak in some throws and get free damage that way. You get the idea, right? On hit, this move is really good at +8, but then if you do block it for any reason, I can see the block and then just spin bar and I'm completely safe. And it doesn't have to be after the overhead. I can do it after this move. I can do it after the mid string. You get the idea. Anything that's special cancelable, I can do into Delia's dance and then meter burn if I have to. And right now you're probably thinking, oh, I'll just flawless block. Guess what? You can't. There's no gap. This thing is 100% guaranteed safe every single time as long as you have bar. Or in other words, Jade now has no risks if you block anything I do with the exception of this overhead. I can just keep it safe every single time. It doesn't matter if you block this mix-up, I'm just gonna special cancel and now I'm completely safe. It doesn't matter if you block this mid, I'll do this and now I'm completely safe. However, thankfully this move was not possible in competitive play for a good while, but now finally it is, and rest assured almost every Jade player is gonna use this move because it's just too good to go without. Alright everyone, and there you have it, the most annoying zoner that NetherRealm has ever made, at least for the first few months. You could not go anywhere online or in any comment section without seeing people complain about Jade, which is honestly a bit funny because she was never considered a top tier character, but online against a casual player, she was an absolute menace, and hopefully now you understand why. Thank you so much for watching everybody, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below, it really does help my channel out a ton. And then keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell, that way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.